but then you had to start with a marriage, because one of the most thing, or the best thing I could do is to love my wife, and because then I not only I say I do it, I had to do it by example, and that's one of the challenge for us as a resource center now, is that, well, not only a think tank that we say something and say something, we had to live it, and help people where they are.
Well, Per Christian Gustavsen, what a joy it is to have you on the Coalition for Marriage YouTube channel. Now, you live and work in Norway. You're a pastor, you're also an entrepreneur, and you've set up a think tank in one of the richest, most secular countries in the world, a think tank to promote marriage and the family. And we'll go into all of that and why it's necessary. But tell us a little bit about your background. What's brought you, if you like, to this place, and maybe begin by saying hi to our viewers and our listeners.
Oh, it's a pleasure for me to be here, and thank you, Tony, for letting me share what's happening in Norway. I'm Per Christian, and married to Tone Lise. We have 6 kids, and live in Norway. We have always been dreaming of family and marriage, and how important it is for the society, because it's the building blocks to have a healthy society. 4 or 5 years ago, then, when we started this think tank, Christian Resource Center, then it started to explode what was inside, and we more managed to do what we supposed we were called to do.
Yes, tell us a little bit more about the think tank. Tell us what it does, why it's there. I mean, what did you see in Norway? I mean, from the outside, Norway looks like a very prosperous, it's statistically, it's one of the nicest places in the world to live and work, a very egalitarian society, very secular, if you like that sort of thing. What made you think, hold on, there's something missing, we need to do something about this?
We in Norway, as in Britain, we are founded on the Christian values, but it started to be more anti-Christian, in the way that we thought we could have the Christian values but do whatever we want, or have a new kind of worldview, and that was kind of, well, that was, yeah, shocking, and also that if you believe that you will have no consequences when you do things, well, that's isn't the well, it isn't the way things are. So we in the Christian Resource Center, we seek to be clear and have a faithful voice for the biblical understanding of family, marriage, and in sex and sexuality, and to do it in the public square.
Yep, and that kind of brings me to my next question then. So you redefined marriage in 2009, I think it was, to include not just men and women, but men and men, and women, etc., etc. We were a few years later. What do you think? I mean, looking around you, what difference? Many people will say, look, the numbers are small. Who cares? What difference does it make? Why are you bothered at all? If you want to carry on with man-woman marriage, well, you're free to do that. Let those people who want to do what they want to do, let them be free to do that too. Why does it make a difference? What difference has it made in Norway? The whole loss of marriage as an institution.
Yeah, one of the things that we have been seeing now is that the children are suffering, and as you said, we are a prosperous nation, and we have no debt in our economy, and a good economy. But we see that even though our children can have whatever they want, we are now among the young people. We see now that they are not satisfied, and the mental health, not the physical health. Um, well, it's been worse in the physical health too, but because but especially in the mental health, uh, is it we have been one of the most sickest nation in the world among youth.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, part of that's going to be because it's dark half the year round, right? But but actually,
Yeah.
because it's light half the year round too, that should balance itself out. But but it's interesting you say it because, of course, when you redefine marriage, you redefine what family means, you redefine what parenting means, and essentially you strip it of any meaning at all. And so this thing which identifies, well, that thing over there is built for raising the best version of the next generation becomes dismantled and it's meaningless. And exactly the same in Norway as over here. You know, you've got huge numbers, majority numbers of cohabitations. You know, lots of people are cohabiting, and I know, you know, looking at your divorce figures, they might say, well, divorce is going down. Well, maybe so, but actually, if you're cohabiting in your country, as in my country, you're about 90% more likely for parents to split up by the
Yes.
time a child is 12 than if you're married. So, so significantly more, and of course, cohabiting split ups aren't measured in the divorce figures, right? Because they're not marrying in the first place. So it's just not captured on the stats. But the children, as you say, are the ones who are suffering. And we know all the secular evidence says actually what kids need, what not just what they want, but what they really need for stability is stability in their family lives. And the thing that gives them that is marriage. And cohabitation is much less likely to do that. And I know you've seen that exactly the same. And it's interesting how the difference in stability, it's not like, oh, well, a secular country versus Christian country or anything else like that. It seems to be because those differences are going more and more, and we've had the comparisons and it hasn't made any difference. The thing that makes the difference is, well, married or not married. That seems to be the thing that makes the difference.
Yeah, as you said that for 50 years ago it was not legal to be cohabitation. It was illegal, but of course it was more a sleeping law. And then we only had 9-10% divorce, but now we have around 40%, and as you said that the cohabitation is now 30%, but they are splitting up 4 times more often and the marriage. So this is a kind of, well, it's not a kind of, it's an unstable um, rock to build on. It's not a rock.
And the state, you know, there's what you know, that there's lies, bad lies, and statistics, aren't there? And it depends on how you skew the numbers as to the exact figures. But it's very clear from the evidence that married people stay together longer. And the argument then is, which is thrown back, oh, that's because more responsible people, committed people, choose marriage. Well, again, that doesn't seem to be the case from the evidence because it splits across the whole socioeconomic divide. And it seems to be, and it's interesting because we had some research carried out in the UK, which was published just very recently, just the last few weeks, which really pulled the rug from underneath some earlier research, which said that the marriage effect wasn't that great. Actually, it turns out the marriage effect is the thing that, so being married, and you've got to think about it, right? I mean, you've been married for over 30 years. I've been married for over 30 years. You know, and given the choice, right? Any guy going up to any girl and says, look, you know, would you like to hook up for as long as it takes for me to think, well, actually, I found somebody better, or you've annoyed me enough that I want to get rid of you? Or would you want to hook up for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, for the rest of our lives in sickness and in health, till death us do part? You
Yeah.
know, which one sounds more attractive to you? And hopefully, you know, to your wives as well. And you know, marriage, then we know marriage changes us. You know,
Yes.
it makes a difference. And
Yeah.
it's that long-term commitment. So,
Yes.
you know, you can tell me if you like, and I'll be really interested to know some of the success factors of why your marriage has lasted 30 years and you haven't just got fed up and walked out on each other. Especially 6 kids, the pressure of that. Not only that, but the pressure you've had doing the job you do in such a secular nation. What have been the things that have kept you two together?
Yeah, well, one of the thing is that you said if you have to take responsibility and give all in, because love and marriage doesn't work without, or if you give only 90% or 70% of something, you have to give all in. And one of the thing that, well, when I was study theology, there was a research in our neighbor country, Sweden, and Sweden and Norway, well, very similar. And the study was that in the Pentecostal movement, when it was on the peak before Second World War, uh, if they only had stayed together in marriage, and um, all the children following the faith, there have been 10 times more Pentecostal in Sweden.
Well, I
And
mean, that's true enough, right?
yeah,
That the problems in the church are as big as the problems outside the church, sadly.
yeah. So that was kind of shocking, but in another way, that when we have been taught that we are going to raise our children and disciple them. Well, we want to disciple all others, because we think it's easier to disciple others far away, because then you can disciple them on the surface. But if you well, the core of Christianity is that we have to disciple our own kids, and that's the hard thing. But then you have to start with the marriage, because one of the most thing, or the best thing I could do is to love my wife, and because then I not only I say I do it, I had to do it by example, and that's one of the challenge for us as a resource center now, is that, well, not only a think tank that we say something and say something, we had to live it and help people where they are.
I mean, that's astonishing, because when all's said and done, as an English idiom, when all's said and done, there's a lot more said than done, right? And there's a lot of people moaning about the state of our society, but you've hit the nail on the head there, Per Christian, that actually we need to walk the walk, as they say, not just talk the talk. Yep. And that Christians should. I mean, we have our readership and our subscribers come from all faiths and none, but a lot of them, most of them, will be Christians. Yep. But we champion the secular evidence base, and the secular evidence base is very, very clear about that too. That marriage is hard work, and sometimes, it's never 50-50. Sometimes it's 100-0, because sometimes you got to carry the load because the other person is spent, but you're in it for the full. And I run these, I do these 7-session marriage coaching things
Yeah.
for churches and other groups. And we touch, the last one is about legacy. And the point you made there, that you're raising grandmothers of the future. Yep.
Yeah.
And grandfathers of the future, and the idea of training a child up in the way they should go, and that your daughter, and this is founded in the secular evidence base, your daughter sees or learns what to expect from men by the way you treat your wife.
Yeah.
And if you're not around, well, that's going to make a big difference, right?
Yeah.
And all sorts of things like that, which are profound, which people just don't get. And the idea of, we've been married over 30 years like you, and I love nothing more in public than to hold my wife's hand, And it's astonishing the number of times, and it's not rare that people have commented on that. Oh, it's lovely to see an older couple, how dare you? But an older couple holding hands, and it's good. But living out that life, it's hard, it's difficult. I say this often. I got to stop talking, let you talk. But I say this often that your soulmate is not a person you find on a dating app or meet in a bar. It's the person you've struggled with for 30 years. Yeah, and you don't get to that level of experience and the joy that unlocks until you've gone through it. You know, you know. So what does your organization do? I mean, do you write papers? What do you do? Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, well, we do counseling,
Yep.
and we also do marriage counseling, and at schools where we do sexuality education,
Right.
and seminars for marriage. Well,
Brilliant. So
yeah.
that's really
Uh,
interesting. So in terms of,
well,
are you allowed to go into schools? Because it's very difficult over here. It seems like there's an
yeah,
awful lot of opportunity for people who want to teach the other side, but
yeah,
there's not an awful lot for people who want to go and teach, from a pro man woman marriage perspective.
yeah. That's the same here because my wife has been at many schools, official schools and Christian schools for almost 30 years now. But now it's been more and more. And well, it's more a narrow road now because they want to let you in the official schools. So one of the things we are doing now, we are creating a new sexuality education that shows the liberal way and the conservative way. And yeah, so because then you can see what does it lead to if you choose the liberal way and then this conservative way, and we back it up with statistic, and so we are not finished that yet, but then um, they uh, well, if the law is right, then they had to let us into the public school. You have more resource. So what we need in Norway and the Nordic countries is that we there is a significant gap um, between related issues when it's become to research, because there is no well, it's a clear need for a Nordic research institute in this field, because now in, we have uh, we have studies in studied, and research have found out that 50% of the studies that are more conservative, they will not come out.
We're looking at cohabitation reform in the UK. So we're just having a consultation exercise now where the government wants to give more rights to cohabitees. Yep, the same rights as married couples have. Instead of promoting marriage, and their opt-out rights. So the idea is that you have them. Of course, nobody will know about them. And those who do, and one worry is that men will say, well, I'm not going to I'm not going to hang around with my kids in the same house, even cohabiting, because I will end up there'll be rights ascribed which I haven't bought into, and whatever. But they should be promoting marriage. And so I wonder, you've lived in a society which has accepted and rewarded cohabitees like married couples. What would you say to UK ministers who are thinking of promoting cohabitation rights even further?
Well, we have uh, done it in Norway, and I will see it's not a success. So I would strongly recommend that you rather strengthen the marriage, because that's the most healthy and the best way to to live.
And so doing what you're doing and saying what you're saying and speaking out in such a secular society, you've paid the cost for that yourself. and I mean, your anchors and your roots and your hope is built on other things, and I get that completely, rather than man's praise. But it's been hard for you, I know, and I'm sure. But where's the hope? So what would you looking forward? Where would you say the hope lies? Where's the positivity? Will marriage win in the end? What have we got to look forward to?
Yeah, well, that's the good thing, that we have hope, and now we see that the young generation that are rising up now, they want to find the truth. They do not accept everything or every um, lie that are kind of packed in good and nice paper. So now we have a new generation that want think frankly and straight, and they see that the things we have been doing so far is not function very well. So that's the a new hope, that this not only a conservative movement or a move in the conservative way, but also that young people are searching for truth in religion, in Christianity.
And exactly the same in our country, that Gen Z, as you call them, and the following afters, I think Gen Alpha, is it, that actually they're saying there's nothing in all this kind of hedonistic living, indulgent kind of lifestyle. They want something more. They want to find somebody. They want to find somebody true to them to settle down with, and they want to find what they've been told is unnecessary, and drop what they've been told is so good. And so that there's massive hope there, I think, and it makes sense, as a Christian, and we do have a lot of people who aren't Christians who are supporters, and we champion the secular evidence base and all that. But actually, if God says something is right, you'd expect people to want to do it and for it to produce fruit in society, and it does, and that's there in spades, as they say.
I don't know, we have the saying in English, but among the common people, and we call it on the in Norway, where the grass is on the bottom level in Norway. Well, people are more accepting everything of this thing, but the leaders are well, it's a gap there, because the leader are more promoting queer theory and
Yeah, but the evidence in the UK shows that the richest mums, 70% plus are married. The poorest mums, only 20% or less are married. So the people who are spouting all the rhetoric and the nonsense aren't following it themselves. And the people who could really do with the benefits that all that brings are listening and going down a route which isn't doing them any good. Complete madness.
yeah.
Listen, thank you for the work you're doing. I have a feeling we'll speak again, because you're a wonderful chap and the work you're doing is great, and we'll keep good tabs on each other and support each other as much as we can. But Per Christian Gustavsen, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, a pleasure to be here.